the fate.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll remember this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my good friend / my co-host, Devin. And today, we're here to give our spoiler-free thoughts and insights on Damien Chazelle's Babylon, aka Babylon. Every time I see it, it's like looking at Gotham and not being able to see Gotham. It's, it is what it is.
I had to look up what it meant afterwards because I feel like Babylon is kind of a word that just kind of gets thrown around and doesn't usually have much meaning to it. But for this movie, it's very fitting.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the connection myself as well, but we'll definitely talk about that here in a bit. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, what's up? How you been? What you been watching?
I mean, this movie's all I could think about today, and after seeing it last night, there's just so much to digest.
There is a lot to digest, and I mean, rightfully so. I mean, the runtime of this movie is clocking in around, oh my gosh, it's around 3 hours.
3 hours and 8 minutes.
I knew it was over 3 hours. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, definitely 3 hours and 8 minutes. That sounds about right for this movie. And we didn't know that going in, so we kind of had to, prepare ourselves.
I actually didn't know that. It was a surprise for me. I thought it was gonna be over 2 for sure, but I didn't know it was hitting 3.
Oh, you did not know? What? Okay, so no. I'm definitely interested to hear your thoughts about this. Wow, that's a first. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so really quick, before we get into this review, did you finish Andor by chance or no?
I'm still about halfway through.
I haven't started since after episode 3 when it released. I need to go back and watch it. There's so much to watch right now. Like, I need to finish up on Titans. I have to finish season 3 of Doom Patrol so I can start season 4. I've been watching his Dark Materials from week to week, trying to keep up with that. I need to watch or finish Wednesday as well. It's crazy, man. We are getting down to the wire here, and there's still new things coming out, TV shows, and it's so much. It is so much. But yeah, I need to watch Andor as well. There's just a lot going on. But I take it you've had a pretty good week so far.
Yeah, no complaints here. Got a couple of big wigs at my screening for Babylon last night. Apparently one of the camera ops for the actual movie was there.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool. I like that.
Apparently he flew in, and because I guess he's from here, so.
Nice. I mean, Cleveland has some cool things. We got the Christmas Story house, which is on sale. I think it's going up for sale. I believe so. Or if it's not already, I don't know for how much, but that's going to be a very
too much.
House. Too much. Yeah, for sure. I'm not a big Christmas Story fan. Like I like it just fine, but it's not like I'm not like over the moon about it, but different time for us, especially. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. So the way that this goes down for any of our new listeners that are out there, we usually get into our initial reactions. Since this is a spoiler-free review, we will only be giving our initial reactions for this movie. Then we'll get into our final thoughts. We'll get into a little bit of trivia along the way as well, and then we'll hit up our ratings, and that'll be the end of it. So, Devin, are you ready to take a trip to the 1920s? We got this amazing party to go to. It's Margot Robbie's going to be there, Brad Pitt, Gene Smart, the whole gang.
We're entering Babylon.
Exactly. Here, there might be an elephant there as well, and that's just a rumor popping up or something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this introduction to Babylon.
What about you?
Sorry?
If you could go anywhere in the whole world, where would you go?
I always want to be part of something bigger.
I love that answer.
Something that lasts, that means something. Something more important than life.
Yes. It's written in the stars. I am a star. If I had money, I would only spend it on things that were fun, you know? Not boring things like taxes. I'm just one for everyone to party forever.
And we are back. You just heard a little snippet of Babylon, and this movie is written and directed by Damien Chazelle and stars Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Gene Smart, and many, many, many more.
Gotta give a shout out to Diego Calva as well. His debut, which is insane. He's the main star.
Oh, okay. I did not know that this is his debut.
It's at least his U.S. debut.
Right. Of course. And Samara Weaving is in this movie for a bit as well.
Yeah, Margot Robbie Jr. They shared some screen time together.
They did. So there are three actors that look the same. It's Margot Robbie, Samara Weaving, and then it is Emma Mackey as well. I think Emma Mackey looks a little bit more like Margot Robbie than Samara Weaving, but they all have very similar facial structures. But do you know who Emma Mackey is altogether? Have you heard of her?
I've not.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send you a picture. Actually, I'm going to send you a picture right now. That is Emma Mackey on the right.
Yeah, I can see it from certain angles.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's, it's people saying doppelgangers altogether. But yeah, she looks like she could be related to Margot Robbie. But yeah, I thought it was just hilarious because she's part of sex education on Netflix, and it's a really good show. But yeah, just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But as I mentioned before, we are here to review Babylon. Again, spoiler free altogether. We're not going to get super deep into it because there's a lot to cover if we did. Again, this movie's runtime is 3 hours and 8 minutes. If you did not know that beforehand, I did not know that Devin didn't know that beforehand. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I'm going to pass it over to Devin so he can give his initial reactions to Babylon.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to keep it super vague here because you just got to kind of see this one for yourself if you're at all interested, because there's just so much going on here. I feel like if you watch the trailer, I would say it's probably about 1/100th of the movie, the trailer, what it shows. Like, it shows nothing. Like, it was nothing what I expected when I saw this movie. Like, there's just so much happening. There's 3 hours, so there's going to be a lot happening, but you can safely watch the trailer and go into this and still be just blown away by everything that happens. It's kind of crazy to think about how Damien Chazelle started with La La Land, and that's kind of like a love letter to Hollywood and old Hollywood and just kind of the magical feeling that some people have about Hollywood. And then he writes this, which is the complete opposite. It's like if La La Land was a love letter, this is like the burn book of Hollywood. Like he's taking the piss out of Hollywood completely here. Like, and I thought it was interesting. He actually wrote this one first, and then he was trying to show it around and get it made. But then someone was like, "No, it's a little bit extreme. How about you try like a musical first?" And then he wrote La La Land. So this made him write La La Land, which is very interesting, just because of how like solar opposite they are as movies and as stories. Like complete ends of the spectrum as far as a Hollywood movie. It also the first thought I came out of the theater with was it's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood without the feet. It's kind of the vibe I got. They both have Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt too, so it's like there's actually a lot of similarities there. It really is just a wild ride. Like no feet needed here. Sorry, Quentin. I know it's a little painful, but I don't know if I like this one better or not, but I'll have to see in the years to come. But there's so much that happens. We're not going to dive into it, but that first party scene and how our two main characters meet to the end of the movie, that relationship forming and what they go through, that roller coaster ride that they're on till the end is just isn't insane to even think about where they started and where they ended up. Like that kind of ride for a character is really, really intriguing and compelling. The ending, the last 10 minutes, just you can't even comprehend what's on the screen for most of it. It's just so much. I feel like the first 2 hours or so, it's pretty much a straight up comedy. Like there's just a lot of jokes and a lot of humor. And then Tobey Maguire shows up, and then it's about 15 minutes of, it's kind of like a horror suspense at that point. Like, whoa, that's a big shift. And then it kind of ends, which kind of just like a sorrowing, just kind of heartbreaking drama towards the end. So it's a lot of genres wrapped into one. Yeah, it's crazy.
For whoever said that, you know, since he wrote Babylon first and he was trying to get it made first before La La Land, and whoever said, you know, it's just a lot of, you know, everything, they were completely right. And I agree with Devin. When it comes to the trailer, it's literally like a sliver of a sliver of the entire pie.
The trailer sold me because it's Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie just doing crazy Hollywood things, and that's all it shows you. And then there's just so much more.
Like, and it's not just like crazy. Like, it's Margot Robbie is having so much fun in this role. So is Brad Pitt's character. I absolutely loved his character, but you really, I mean, obviously, I think Margot Robbie is more of the star here, obviously because it does focus between her and Manny, who is played by Diego. But Babylon is a thrilling ride. It's like Wolf of Wall Street meets Hollywood, with like a little bit of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in there.
It's like the complete culmination of Margot Robbie's career, because obviously she started with Wolf of Wall Street, and then recently she did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and this is just kind of the complete culmination of what she's been leading to, and she's just so good. Like I like her character a lot better than when she played Sharon Tate, because it's just more interesting. There's just a lot more going on. I don't know if I like Jack Conrad more than Cliff Booth. It's close, because Cliff Booth was just a scene stealer through and through.
You see, I will say between Jack Conrad and Cliff Booth, they have something in common. They are like probably the best friends you'll ever get. Like, they will stick by you no matter what.
Poor George. Oh my God, poor George.
Oh, I know. But also with this movie, like I said, I feel it is a thrill ride. The pacing of this movie, for the most part, I would say about maybe 75 to 80% of it, the pacing is like phenomenal. I did not feel the runtime.
Yeah, I'd say it didn't feel like 3 hours until the end, because it kind of, we talked about it before, it kind of has that issue where there's like 5 or 6 different endings, it feels like, and it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah, for me, it actually felt like the pacing started giving me issues as soon as Tobey Maguire was introduced, because it's like it was coasting all the way through, up for like maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe. I'm not sure. I wasn't allowed to like check my clock or my phone, but I'm just guessing there. But as soon as he gets introduced, it was like a hard stop, and then it just slowly pushes itself to the end.
I liked it though, because it did a hard stop, but then it switched right to like a thriller almost, because of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, for like, I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was just, whew, man. There are so many outstanding performances within this film, and I love the characters' journeys, but I feel like they were not resolved in a satisfying way, because a lot of things happen in this movie where things happen off screen, you know, character progression happens off screen, and then it's just, it goes into this self-reflecting aspects, and then it keeps going. And then we get this like super crazy, I don't know what I was looking up on the screen, and then it kept going, and then it kept so it felt like it didn't know when to end. But like, for the most part, I did enjoy this movie. Like you said, Devin, it is a comedy for at least the first 2 hours. At least the first 2 hours, it's a comedy, because I was eating up everything on that screen.
It's just so well written. It's just so sharp.
It was. My favorite scene, the warehouse scene. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know what I'm talking about, Devin, you know, because everyone in my theater was cracking up. But it really feels like there's multiple genres, within this movie. Like, I would say probably for the first 2 hours, it feels like this raunchy, like thrilling, raw comedy and a interesting look at what Hollywood was throughout the decade of the 1920s. You know, it has like that speakeasy vibe, you know, during the first, I would say, heck, maybe like the first 30 minutes or so. But then, yeah, it like quickly changes genres as soon as like Tobey Maguire's character is introduced. So that, I mean, it's great. It's just that's just a crazy just retrospective for us or anyone, honestly anyone, because this was the 1920s. No one was really around back then anymore, unless you're pushing over 100. But just to look back at the history of movies and kind of how it used to be, and we look back and there's silent films, we think, oh, that's so tame and weird, but then behind the scenes you got characters like Jack Conrad and Nellie Leroy just going crazy. Like, you wouldn't think that when you're watching a silent film, and even just thinking about how they had to have the music playing live while they filmed movies back then. It's just so cool to see that. Yeah, that I think what I really enjoyed most about this was seeing the technical limitations of how films were made back then.
It's a film buff stream. Like, if any film majors are going to eat this up, like, it's going to be anyone who loves old Hollywood, anyone like the Academy. I feel like this is going to get some Oscar love because it's like made for the Academy. It feels like. Oh,
absolutely. Hollywood loves movies that are about Hollywood.
Look at La La Land.
Yeah, La La Land, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Even so, I mean, this isn't necessarily Hollywood, but for Downton Abbey, A New Era, that movie mainly is focused around a film being made within the movie. And it's moving from the progression from silent films, like it is in Babylon, to what they call the talkies. So, you know, pictures with sound. So, you know, that's like maybe around the same time period, a little bit after when the Titanic sank. But I do agree. It was so interesting to see, you know, especially that warehouse scene. You know what scene I'm talking about, where
we got to give a shout out to that actor. I'm gonna look up, because he's been in a lot of like one-off things. He's like a pretty good character actor throughout.
Yes.
Okay, PJ Byrne is his name.
He is hilarious.
He was in The Boys. That's the most recent thing. He was also in Wolf of Wall Street. He was in The Boys. He's in Spirited.
It's Wolf of Wall Street vibes all around.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I would see it again. Maybe not in theaters, but I would definitely see it.
Yeah, this one you, in the comfort of your home, would be nice to just kind of have on. That's something I was going to bring up. I'm very curious as to how general audiences are going to think about this one, because 3 hours is it's too much.
It's a lot.
I understand there's a lot of story to tell, but over 3 hours, it is a lot. And I think general audiences might have issues with that and trying to get through it.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up the same thing. I was going to ask you how general audiences would react to this, because much like it's one thing to, you know, like Lord of the Rings, let's take that for example, or better yet, even Avengers, Endgame or Infinity War. I don't know why I said them backwards, but probably just because Endgame came out more recently. But, you know, Avengers Endgame clocks in at around 3 hours. But with that movie, you know, it's a culmination of everything that happened before it. The Batman was also around 3 hours. I do not have an issue with like how long a movie is, but like if the pacing, like, you know, starts to, you know, waver, that's when I have an issue. For something like the Batman, I feel like people were more okay with that because it's the Batman. for Babylon, for a movie that general audiences know nothing about, at least the general audiences know who Batman is. So they will go to see a 3-hour-long Batman because Batman puts butts in seats in the theater. For this movie, I do not know. It kind of gives me the Irishman.
It could be Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie that are the draw here. That could be the Batman of this movie.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. That's a very interesting question, or I think it's a very good question. I just don't know because I mean
it's a tough sell, but I was entertained the entire time. It had my attention the whole time throughout. Never even thought about looking at my phone, even if I could have. But
I did once they started doing the years later mark. I was like, oh, life. I sneakily, very quickly looked at my phone. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I say the biggest issue is the ending because they just kind of kept going and going. Just one of those where it had a little too many endings to go through and a little too many characters to resolve. That's definitely my biggest issue.
Yeah, I would say that. And then for me, again, it's just, we were introduced to so many great characters with these very interesting backstories, but I feel like for most of them, we didn't get a satisfying goodbye with some of with maybe one person.
I feel like that could just be him saying just like a comparison to Hollywood overall, where you don't always get to say goodbye because Hollywood just chews you up and spits you out.
That is very true. But yeah, that was just it felt like it didn't it came full circle, but it took a little bit of a detour to get there. Well, not maybe a little bit of a full circle, but not a complete full circle like La La Land or even First Man, I would say. But I don't know if this is his best movie he's directed, but it's definitely his most entertaining throughout because I didn't know what this movie was about.
It's such a difference from everything else he's done in the past. It's just why it's so crazy because I wasn't expecting any of it because it's so different. Because Whiplash is what he started off with, and that's just a very down to earth, dramatic movie the entire time. And then he does La La Land, which is a lovely love letter to Hollywood in musical form. And then First Man, I wasn't much of a fan of. It was Ryan Gosling being an astronaut, and it kind of put me to sleep. But that's okay. But it's very different. This is the complete other end of the spectrum. So it's kind of exciting to see him branch out and just dive into this kind of movie.
Mm-hmm. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane, he was also
I saw he was a writer on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was like, oh. Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't mind him doing a horror movie next or at some point because that Tobey Maguire scene was pretty scary.
That was pretty creepy. I was like, what's happening here? I felt very uncomfortable throughout that entire scene. But yeah, overall, I found it wildly entertaining. I don't know where this falls, when it comes to, one of my favorite films of the year. It's definitely one of the most entertaining movies I've watched this year, though. I will say that. Job well done for, keeping my attention for most of the time. I would say maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially going back to the era that they're in, the 20s, you don't think about that being extravagant or exciting in any way. And the way they make it just so over the top, it's just so entertaining.
Yeah. And I usually, when it comes to the 1920s, there's usually a lot of racial tension. There's a few here, kind of, sort of, but they don't really focus on it, which is what I like, because just because something is set, in the 1920s doesn't mean that, we have to have all these minorities and all these white people just have to be super prejudiced or racist towards them. We didn't really see a lot of that, which is something I kind of appreciated. It was a movie about, these people aspiring to, become something greater than what they were, and, the journey that they take, their rise and fall, just like A Star Is Born altogether. But yeah, just a very thrilling ride all around. But let's get into like our ratings, and I feel like we kind of already went into our final thoughts there, unless there was something else you wanted to talk about. Actually, before we go, I did forget. You said that you know why this movie was called Babylon.
Yeah, I was looking up different definitions. Obviously, in like historical form, it's an ancient city. But a definition for it is any rich and magnificent city believed to be a place of excessive luxury and wickedness. If that doesn't describe Hollywood, I don't know what does.
Especially in the 20s. For sure. Yeah, and I wasn't able to find too many trivia things myself. I wasn't sure if you... Oh, wait, here we go.
I did see that Emma Stone was initially cast in Margot's role. I think this is perfect for Margot, though. Like, this is made for her.
But I wouldn't mind. I mean, honestly, I could go either way, but obviously seeing Margot in the role, it's definitely made for her. But I mean, Emma Stone would not have been a bad choice either. But there's something about Margot Robbie nowadays where it's like, she's really, she's a producer, she's an actor.
She just ate this role. Her and Diego Calva, especially for being his first real movie. Like, the emotion you felt from that character was just insane. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the scene where he just says "Te amo, te amo, te amo" over and over, like, it's heartbreaking. This
is a very self-aware movie as well. This movie knows what it is, but yeah, it's Wolf of Wall Street meets Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meets A Star Is Born. It just goes crazy, man. A little bit of Great Gatsby in there, a little bit, kind of, sort of, maybe just the extravagant party part, but yeah.
It's like all of those, but way more over the top, I'd say, than all of them. Even the opening scene is just completely over the top and not what you expected.
I was not expecting that at all.
That camera shot was ridiculous.
It looked great too. I mean, just the color, the depth of the color, the blacks, the crushing blacks, the way that everything was, it had like this warm tone over it, like throughout the entire movie.
That Hollywood glow.
Yeah, the Hollywood glow. I think that's a perfect way to put it. But let's get into our ratings here. Devin, what would you rate this film?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think the length is an issue. It's just hard to get through 3 hours towards the end. And especially with this one, the ending just kind of felt like it kept coming because they had so much to wrap up. Felt like there were 5 or 6 different endings, but the one we did get, it's pretty unforgettable, I'd say. Just kind of the ride you go through, and then to have that be the ending destination, it's just kind of blows you away. I'd give it like an 89 overall. There are some issues, but really, really strong contender this year, and definitely up there for me.
So for me, I mean, I pretty much echo everything you're saying. Like towards the end, it just felt like a fuse that was, slowly waiting to like go off. But I would give this like a solid 85 out of 100 altogether. I really, really enjoyed it. It's, sometimes endings, it didn't end as abrupt as, other movies that we've seen, a lot of like A24 movies, but sometimes, I mean, you can definitely see there is a lot of creative control here with, him, with Damien writing and directing this movie. Would have reeled it back just a little bit, but I mean, I personally just I don't mind the length, but it's just the pacing started to kind of waver after a while, and that's what made it feel longer than what it actually was. But overall, I did enjoy this movie. I don't know if I can really recommend this to anyone that I know, because I mean, like if I show them the trailer, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, yeah. But it's 3 hours long, and they're going to be like, oh, I'll just wait until it hits streaming. And then that's probably what 90% of the conversations that we would have, at least with our friends or anyone else that we know, that those are the conversations that we would have. They would say, oh, I'll just wait till it hits, Netflix, HBO Max, wherever it's going to go.
If that, they might just give it a hard no.
Yeah. If that, and then they'll be, yeah, or they'll just say no altogether and just move on to the next thing. So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess this movie is really just made for people who love movies. And again, we get to see a lot of the old school ways of how they had to deal with editing and production altogether. Like, they had to be in an environment where there was absolutely no distractions. There were, no sounds, and just the sound itself, like seeing how far sound has come when it comes to speaking into a microphone, speaking into an overhead microphone, and how technology evolves altogether. I thought that was really, really cool to see. But yeah, so 89, I think I got the right from you. Sorry. So 89 from Devin, and then an 85 out of 100 for me for Babylon. Like we said, we don't want to give anything away. We tried to talk as much as we can, talk about the movie without talking about the movie in a way. So it can be difficult, but if you're interested in seeing this, definitely go see it. We're not trying to discourage anyone from watching it. It's just use the bathroom beforehand altogether. I mean, it's okay to use the bathroom, while you're in the theater, but it's like, you drive X amount of miles,
There's not many slow parts in this one that you can miss safely.
Yeah, well, maybe towards the end, but but you won't know. Yeah, for sure. But with all that said, that concludes our spoiler-free review of Babylon. And if you like what you heard on today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Optix. That is Optix with an X. And as always, make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, or your significant other. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And really quick, what is out now on the podcast that you can check out versus what's coming up. What is out now? We have our Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which should be out by the time that this episode drops, as well as our Violent Night review and our Willow episode 1 through 3 review, spoiler free, of course. What's coming up next? We do not know. I think Avatar should be out. We're recording this a little earlier, since we were able to see this. This drops in theaters December 23rd. This movie, I believe, but we can't see into the future because we're recording for this early. But follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X, to see what will be up next on our docket, because we're not entirely sure. Might be one of the last movies that we watch, because Christmas is around the corner. It's towards the end of the year. But with all that said, we hope you guys have a great day and stay safe. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian. We'll see you guys in Babylon.
Peace.